How do you be a doer of the word? Do it. Do it. Whatever you got that's wretched, we would desire it in a non-sinful, coveting kind of way. Sent to idea@wretched.org. This is Wretched Radio. Questions, comments, conundrums, snarks, corrections, clarifications, sermons, stories, news clips, whatever. Idea@wretched.org.
All right, this one comes...
I think I'm out of shape, Jimmy.
You're out of shape?
Because I think I just did a list of about 9 words, and I needed air when I was done.
Oh, that kind of shape.
You know what Mrs. Friel is doing at the gym? And I'm starting to feel a little bit pressured by it. She's doing that stair-stepper business. Don't
fall into that trap.
Oh.
That thing is brutal.
It is. I know it is. We were in Dallas, I think. We were on our way to the Teach Them Diligently conference. And, you know, as you suspect, we go to the gym. And we were in the gym of it was that big with all the water. Yeah, it was in Austin. Something. It was in Texas. It's a small place. Drive around. You'll eventually find it. It's the Kalahari, I think, is where the conference was. So we went into the gym because we spared everybody going to the water park. You don't want to see that. Children would be horrified. Some people with sensitive eyes would be blinded. We blessed people by not doing the water park thing. Besides, I have to confess to you, unless you're with your grandkids, at a certain age, probably don't need to be going down the tornado into the... Some point, might want to just think about that. So we went to the gym, and a woman was on the stair-stepper thing, and I heard a scream. I turned to look. She had fallen off of it.
Oh, my goodness.
If you're squeamish, you might want to just hit mute for about 8 seconds. And one of her bones, tibula, maybe, coming up. I could see it. It came through the...
That's enough for me never to get on one again.
So I'm not doing the stair-stepper. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org.
All right, from Anonymous. And it says only Anonymous because I can't pronounce his name. Kudus. He wants to know what are practical ways to be a doer of the word and not just a listener of it.
Kudus, maybe?
Kudus?
Kaudus?
Kudus.
Oh, Kudus, maybe? I wonder if that's some sort of foreign name.
I hope so.
I'm guessing it because I haven't heard that one. Nevertheless, what are some practical ways that you can
be a doer of the word, not just a hearer?
Do what you're supposed to. Yeah, maybe because I am just simple. This is a simplistic answer. How do you be a doer of the word? Do it. Do it. What does it say you're supposed to do? Get on it. Read through your New Testament. Look for the imperatives, usually tied to an indicative to give us the correct example and motivation, but just be obedient and do it. So how can you be a doer of the word? By reading it, studying it, writing down if you need to remember it that way, and then obeying it. Now, that's the most simplistic answer I can give. We can build on that, however. There are things that you can do very practically in the context of your local church. Go do a study of the one another's. You're going to find almost 40, if not more. This is what we do with one another. Okay. Hey, I can do that. And then just start doing it. There would be a third way to be a doer of the word. And this harkens back to the book that I shared with you from Martha Peace. She just did it was so simple and so helpful. She asked probing questions. There were 24 of them. When somebody cuts in front of you, are you inclined to get angry or to potentially pray for the person? Okay, and that wasn't one of her questions, but you get the idea. Is it like a godly thing or is it like a fleshly thing? So here's what you do. Consider this Bible verse. And this is what the verse says about getting cut off in traffic and how I'm supposed to respond to people who are thoughtless, who aren't paying attention, therefore they're being reckless and endangering my life. I bless those who curse me. And I trust God that is the right emotional response. I trust him because my flesh says, you idiot! God says, bless them. Pray for them. If possible, speak an encouraging word to them that edifies and lifts up. Okay, that is not what I feel like, but I'm going to do your word. I'm going to think the way that you want me to think. That is how we can be a constant doer of the word. That we are thinking Bible way more to replace all of the crummy, rotten, deficient thoughts that we have all day. Your brain and mine loaded with garbage. And we drink it in incessantly. And it's detached usually from God. And therefore, as we experience life, we tend to reply with those data banks filled with bad information. Got to kick it out. Start putting more good information in there. Start trusting that that is the way that you're supposed to respond, live, or do, and trust God for the results. That can be a doer of the word. And I would add this. There's no excuse. You do not get to be a sideline Christian. I don't care if you just pulled all 4 of your quad muscles, because my next door neighbor just did. He was walking the dog. See, the dog thing, you got to be careful. And he fell, and now he's in a brace because all 4 of the quads, it's like, oh, yeah, quad, that makes sense. There's 4 literally separated from the ligaments.
Oh, my goodness.
He said it almost sounded like a rifle. Bing, bing, boom, bing. Okay, so there he is now in a brace. Is he sidelined from being a doer of the word? No. None of us have an excuse. You might be going through a tough season. I get that, and you might need a little recovery time, but you should hasten to get back to being a doer of the word, because the opportunities are everywhere. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org.
Here's an interesting question. She says she understands that if we delight ourselves in the Lord, he will give us the desires of our heart. But what about our interests? Some Christians have an interest in psychology, some in politics. So is God sovereign over our interests?
Yeah, of course he is. He knit you together. So how do you determine whether or not you should have that interest? Well, are you doing it to glorify God? Is it sinful in nature? Don't do it. If it isn't, then you can go ahead and do it. Just do it unto the Lord. And you can exercise those desires in a godly way. Where do those desires come from? The Lord. Where do the sinful desires come from? You. God is not the author of evil. We do that just fine, all by ourselves. But he has knit us together. He is ordaining everything, and he's knit you together in a way where you have preferences, and you can do those things. As far as delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the things that you delight in doing or experiencing. He will give you what you're wanting. The two are connected. It's not like do this, you're going to get that stuff. No, you delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart, because the desires of your heart are rightly informed because you're delighting in the Lord. So if you are delighting in the Lord, you have a desire to do something, you have permission to do it. It may not be wise. You want to receive godly counsel, perhaps before you pull the trigger and become the lead singer of a garage band, but that's not a sin. And if that's the desire, you can say, Lord, that's my desire. And he might just say no, and he might just say yes. It is being informed by the Word of God that tells us, is this emotion, this feeling, this desire correct? And if it is aligned with the Bible, then it is a correct desire, and you can potentially exercise that desire because you're doing it for the glory of God. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org.
Okay, Zach is currently looking at locations to plant a church. He plans to read, interview, and pray about it thoroughly before determining where it should be exactly. But he was wondering what advice you would give a young man like himself.
Research. Lots of research. And I would start, by the way, I probably wouldn't be asking the Lord, where do you want me to go? I mean, that's okay. If you want to do that, see a need. Lord, should I be going there? But don't go alone. Please have a sending body. Please have a church that commissions you, supports you, prays for you, keeps you on track, encourages you. Don't start a church without that support. You're going to need it on so many levels. And then if you found that church, one of the ways to find that church is to consider what is their sending model, because there are many. Willow Creek has a sending model. Walk in the Word has a sending model. I know Mike Fabarez, I was talking to him about their sending model from Compass Bible Church. It's fascinating, and it's different than the other ones. In other words, there's some options, and you should get as much wisdom as you possibly can to determine in this context what would be the best way to do it. Then find a church that shares those values and ask them to partner with you for 3-5 years. They guide you. You become self-sustaining. They cut the cord. Away you go, and then you go plant another church another day. Make sure you've got a sending church. Do your research. Pray like nobody's business, and don't do it alone. This is Wretched Radio.
Well, thank you, Carol. I can't wait to try some of that low-sodium peppermint lasagna. Sounds delicious. Let's get to the weather, shall we? As you can see, we are going to have a massive warm front moving its way up the eastern seaboard, expecting temperatures upper 90s and low 100s. Unless, of course, you're outside of Christ. Then on Judgment Day, it is going to be hot. Back to you, Carol. Not only hot, weeping, gnashing of teeth. And so thirsty, your tongue's gonna be stuck to the roof of your mouth. You're just gonna wish for a storm to come through, which you folks down in the south can be expecting on Wednesday.